at the Iowa-Wisconsin football game when Russ was working for LeBlanc.
No, when I first started teaching, teaching in 1950.
Yeah.
And when I was teaching in the summertime, one summer, I went up and I did repair for Pearl. And Pearl and I got to be real good friends. And that's how we first started. And then when I worked for LeBlanc, of course, they were one of my good dealers. So we just took it from there. So then they started throwing the Iowa football parties against Wisconsin. And oh gee, we had all kinds of
you had Iowa people, and then from Wisconsin you had Gil and Vera Marshner and Sandy and Ruth Sandberg and Danny.
Yes,
mentioned.
Well, Danny, of course, I worked with Danny. But
Dan Hinken.
Danny Hinken. I worked with Dan for years. Of course, Dan and I grew up together. Well, we played in the same quartet in college. That's where we first got to know together. Anyway.
Clarinet?
Yes, clarinet.
He was a loud clarinet player. He always said
a good clarinet player.
But
and the Libens from Kansas City.
Kansas Libens and
Annette and Bob Liben.
Yes, and
friends.
Oh, there was a whole bunch. Carlton Stewart
from Mason City.
Whatchamacallit from Indiana. Ed
Holtz.
Ed Holtz.
Janine Holtz. Glenn Holtz's dad.
There was I can't name them all. But anyway, we'd have a big party, and the West always put it on, and it was just most wonderful thing. And then they would invite people like the music department at the University of Iowa. So we had a lot of fun. And
Frank Pearsall.
This went on for years. Tommy Voxman, you name it. So we all got to be friends. But Dan and I first started together playing in the quartet at college. He went to the University of Missouri too, at least for a while, and we become real good friends. And then when I went to LeBlanc, of course, he was working at LeBlanc. So that was when he went about a year before I did in advertising, because that was his major. He went to school with Lynn. They lived right across the street from each other.
Would you believe his fraternity house was across the street from my sorority house, and at night he would come around. Of course, in those days, once we couldn't go out for snacks or anything, he would come around and sell sandwiches at our sorority house to make spending money.
Yeah, and then he started a laundry business.
Yeah, I'd forgotten.
Picking up laundry and taking it down. So
very resourceful.
I think Dad made more money when he left college than he did when he worked for LeBlanc. But anyway, when he was at LeBlanc, he usually hit me for coffee money all the time. And then we first brought Mary over. And then we got.
I think we were their first guests.
Yeah, for their first dinner. Yeah. So we've been friends ever since. And we used to go to Danny's house in Indiana, have a lot of fun, have parties. Danny, I just heard though, wasn't too good, so I got to call him.
I'm going to see him on Friday.
Will you give him our very, very best regards?
I will.
Yeah.
Very best.
Tell him to call me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you saw his career develop, since you knew him so well.
Well, he worked for LeBlanc, and I think the first stock he bought, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was Railroad, and that's when Railroad went. I used to kid Dan about it, but anyway, he was always thinking ahead of everybody else, and then after he married Mary, of course there was good background there as far as business, and so it's just more or less developed from that. But we got along fine, LeBlanc.
Well, Danny was resourceful and creative, and when he bought Con had been sort of dormant in Elkhart, and he had this big welcome back.
Well, that was quite a party. You probably ran into that.
Parties. I'm sure you've heard about that.
Oh yeah.
It was
is that the one where Jimmy Sage did
the Sousa bit and the.
We had Jimmy Sage do a Sousa bit for Iowa too, at the Iowa Bandmasters Association.
Wow.
He and his wife both, and of course Jimmy was a good friend too.
That was. That was really something.
Yeah.
That's what I meant when I said it was fun in those days.
See, we're talking about a long time ago. Thank heavens I'm still around. I'll knock on wood. So,
well, yeah, I think that, you know,
you're bringing back a lot of memories, you know that.
Good memories.
Yeah.
I think part of the thing that seems to be pretty consistent is the passion for music. You know?
Well, we all had it in those days.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was all, I mean, that was it. There wasn't anything else besides music.
That's what it was all about.
Oh, right, that's what it was all about. And with the eBay and everything all now, it's entirely different. One of the things I don't know if it's even interested or not, but we've been in Texas for the last 15 years. I've got a shop outside my house, and I buy. I go around and since it's in Texas, and I do it for my own pleasure. I just do it. I just work on clarinets, and I fixed them for some of the people in the orchestra and so on and so forth. But I don't do it for anybody. I don't charge money for it or anything else. Never do. But basically, I do it because I down in Texas, about every other block, there's a pawn shop. And so I love to go to a pawn shop and tinker with these guys and buy good clarinets. And you find some very good ones at a very good price. So I have fun overhauling them, sending them back up here, and selling them. And of course, right. And so you have to know what you're buying at a pawn shop. And of course, I've been with it so many years. I know a good clarinet from a bad clarinet, and a good deal from a bad deal, and I have a lot of fun. But I enjoy it. And but just recently, one of the things that kills the enjoyment, I've run into guys that come to the pawn shop, buy these things, and then they sell them on eBay, and they make a living this way. So. They're in business too, but this affects, you know, all of the music stores, everybody else. But they're doing it that way. And of course, people have to know what they're buying if they buy it on eBay. I've had people bring in things that bought on eBay that was good deals, and some they really got took on. So you kind of have to know what you're doing.
Bring them into the repair shop and want us to fix them.
Yeah.
Some of the junk.
Which is fine, except sometimes they really get took. Then you feel sorry for them, you know. So you have to know what you're doing. But that wasn't there in our time, and so it's and we're not in it anymore to that extent. So I mean, just you and I individually, but of course the business is in it, and it's one of the biggest competitors.
What would you say you developed as far as the approach to customer service?
I don't know, my approach, of course, our business, we're in a small town, that's where we started, and you get to know everybody, country, everything else. So we depended more on return business. What do you call it?
Repeat?
Yeah, repeat business. Repeat customers. And so we have customers. I've sold the mother, I've sold the daughter, and the daughter now is a mother, and I've sold her daughter, and so on and so forth. And it's very enjoyable when you have this. And also, years ago, all the schools, we'd go out and we'd try the kids out for them. I mean, the teachers would want us to do it. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. Actually, it should be a teacher's job, but if they ask us to, we would do it. But we don't do that much anymore. Once in a while, it depends on the school, but you don't see it much anymore. And we got to know the people and the kids that way, which you don't know.
Speaking of service, I remember one situation where we sold, family had big family. The customer had big family, and they had bought 5 or 6 instruments, and when they got to about number 6, Russ said, I tell you what, how many more children do you have at home? And they told us, and Russ said, well, when you get to number 10, your 10th horn is free. And by golly, they came back with the 10th.